Now we're going to start putting the glaze in the water area. And this first glaze is a gray mix. It's similar to the cloud shadow color up in the upper right hand corner. It's made with some ultramarine, white, burnt sienna, but it's warmer than the sky color mix. And it's also thinned down with turpentine to about half, so it's a very thin glaze. And what we're trying to do here is increase the grade between the horizon and the foreground. I want it to be much bluer looking back at the horizon. Right now we're going to switch to a large soft brush with some thinner and a little bit of the glaze and pull that down into towards the bottom of the canvas, evening that out a little bit. Now I want this area over here to the left of the boat to be brighter. I want to increase the contrast between the boat and the grass, because this is the closest area to directly above the sun. So this is going to be the brightest area of the water right here. Bring a little bit of that down into next to the reflection. And we'll add a few water highlights here and there with our small brush. Okay, now this light band here is an area in the water where the wind is not affecting the water, so you don't get the wave shapes, and you get a little brighter area. And I'll put a few of these horizontal bands in. Okay, it's real important that you don't get your paint on too thick here. This is a very thin mixture, and I'm putting it on with almost a dry brush. Something like that. Soften that up a little bit. All right, now we're going to move to the bottom of the water. I don't have this part dark enough to suit me yet, so I'm going to make a mix of burnt sienna, ultramarine. I've got some light red in that mix. It's pretty dark, but it's still thin. It's still a good bit of thinner in here. And I'm just painting right over all my wave shapes. They'll still be visible through the glaze. And I'm also using a large, soft scumbling brush. Now we're not going to leave it this dark. We'll be wiping this down, but when I go to put the blue glaze on top, I want to have a little more contrast all the way down here at the bottom of the canvas. We'll work that back up into towards our blue glaze. And then I'm lightening it up as I go over towards the beach as the water gets shallower. Now right over at the water line, where the water hits the beach itself, there's a bluer band. If you look at the reference photo, you can see it there. So I'm starting to model that a little bit. But it's still a glaze. It's still very thin. I'm not worried about any of the wave shadow shapes we painted in before because they're still visible underneath the glaze, and we'll go back and darken them up a little bit later. Now I'm taking my large soft brush and I'm gonna this is actually removing about half of that paint that I just put on, but overall it's still leaving it one value darker. Now as I move off to the right hand side of the canvas, as the water gets deeper it reflects more of the sky, so that's why I'm putting this grayer glaze over this part, and I'm going to blend that back into the warm redder glaze we put on the beach side. And we're going to let that set up for a couple of hours.